Welcome back to the first video in a while to actually have my voice in it. That's pretty cool. The only reason I stopped adding my voice to videos is because I got really sick, like, right when I decided to start making videos again, so my voice was, like, all stuffy and it didn't sound great recording, so I'm like, maybe I'll try some subtitle stuff, you know? See how that goes. And, like, it was really easy in my old editing software, but I got DaVinci Resolve recently, and it's a lot harder in that one, so... And I'm not sick anymore, so we can do voices again. So, yeah, this is my voice if you didn't know. Unfortunately, I actually recorded this challenge before I made the decision to start doing voiceovers again, so, like, I'm going in after the fact and just rewatching it, and I'll be, like, talking about it, so, like, sorry if it's not, like, as personal and relevant and, like, real time. I know a lot of other Bloons YouTubers do it that way, but that's just what I have to work with right now. In the future, for sure, I will do live, real-time voice stuff, but for now, we're just gonna stick to, this, I guess. Whatever. Anyway, today I'm going to be doing a 2-tower chimps, but in the new mastery mode, sort of, that Ninja Kiwi added in this week's Odyssey, which, it's very interesting compared to, like, the Bloons TD 5 mastery mode for a few reasons. First of all, you don't get half cash, which you did in Bloons TD 5 to add additional difficulty, but I guess they didn't decide to carry that over for this particular challenge. Very interesting. And second, because Bloons TD 6 has fortified bloons, which means that a lot of times in BTD5, when Moabs would be upgraded to BFBs and BFBs to ZOMGs, etc., instead we're getting Moabs being upgraded to fortified Moabs, so some of the rounds are completely different than what they would have been in BTD5. So for the 2 towers, we're going to be using the Dartling Gunner, we're going to be going for a Ray of Doom, and for the second tower, we're going to be doing the Ace. We actually get enough starting cash to start with the Dartling in this particular challenge, which is I think it's very necessary considering round 6 has pink balloons on it. I don't think this would be as easy of a challenge or even possible with the normal amount of starting cash, at least not on this map, you know, like maybe Resort could be possible. But anyway, for the second tower, we're going to be going for the Middle Path Ace. I don't know. We might not actually need to go all the way to Sarbamba. We might be able to get away with just a ground 0 or even the carpet bombs. So we'll see about that. We just need that for early lead popping power and purple popping power in the mid game. The reason we have Captain Churchill here is because the Odyssey wouldn't actually let me start with only 2 towers for some reason. Like, I tried doing it only with the Ace and with the Dartling, and it said, add more towers to start Odyssey, so, this is what we're doing. I wish I could have had it as 2 towers, but considering I've recorded the whole thing and I very clearly don't put down Churchill at any point, it's basically the same thing, it just would have been, like, more official, you know? I would have preferred it that way. Also, because it's an Odyssey, we start with 50 lives, but I'm going to try not to leak any lives. Like, if I do, I'm gonna either lose anyway, or I'm just gonna restart going to the main menu. Anyway, so far the early game, that's where we are. The early game has been going pretty smoothly, especially since we got the carpet bombs. The very first few rounds were a little bit hard, and I had to, like, reposition the Dartling really carefully, but the carpet bombs make it really easy to clear these earlier rounds. Now that we have the carpet bombs, the plan is going to be to upgrade the Dartling to get it up to the tier 4. The tier 4 is very good in the first 80 rounds of the game, just because it has great group damage, and there's no super ceramics, which is why it is really not that great after round 80. And so basically it can take out the Moab layer, and then it deals with the insides really easily. It can solo a lot of maps besides, like, purple balloons and stuff. So it's a really good tower for this challenge, especially because the increased cash of the Mastery mode should allow us to afford the Ray of Doom earlier. Here's something interesting about the Mastery mode. On round 26 there's lead balloons, and on round 28 there's not. For some reason, even though there's fortified leads in the game, Ninja Kiwi decided that lead balloons would upgrade to rainbow balloons, which, I don't know, personally I don't think that makes much sense. I would have just gone with the fortified leads, like, that's what they did for, like, the Moab class balloons and for ceramics. So I don't know why they decided to do that, but it's very interesting because there actually aren't leads on rounds 28 and 30, which usually are like the iconic quintessential lead rounds for chimps. I've skipped forward a little bit to round 32 when we finally afford the laser cannon. This tower is actually really interesting this update because they buffed its Moab damage. It does 2 damage normally, but they added another 2 Moab damage, so now it does 4 damage to Moabs, which, I mean, that's a great buff. It essentially doubled its Moab damage. I've seen a lot of other Bloons YouTubers cover this change. It's a very good change, I think. It makes the tower a lot more fun to use. Round 40 has a fortified Moab, just like alternate Bloon rounds, and it's not going to be a problem for our defense. The extra Moab damage we were just talking about really comes into play here, and the ceramics are no problem. At this point, I actually have enough money to go ahead and buy the Plasma Accelerator upgrade, but at the time I just didn't realize, and it didn't end up being a big deal, because like, round 41 isn't that challenging even in Mastery mode, but it's just funny that I didn't notice it. Anyway, now we have the Plasma Accelerator, so the next few rounds should go really smoothly. We shouldn't have any problems until maybe the mid-50s? Round 46 is really interesting because usually on this round there's fortified ceramics, but they get upgraded all the way to Moabs, and so you have 6 Moabs coming in before round 50, but our Plasma Accelerator takes them out very easily. The first round that actually ended up giving us some trouble was round 58, and this round usually only has a few ceramics that are like very widely spaced apart and a few Moabs. But since near the end there's fortified ceramics and Moabs, they get upgraded to Moabs and fortified Moabs, which sort of overwhelmed our Plasma Accelerator a little bit, but we were still able to take it out at the end. The camo leads on round 59 actually get upgraded to camo rainbows, so there's not actually any difficulty popping power wise on this round. I just thought it was kind of funny. Something else interesting is that round 62, usually a very hard round for our Plasma Accelerator because there's usually a lot of purples on that round, but they actually get upgraded to leads for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway, it's a lot easier for our towers this round than usual. Even though this version of round 63 is an objectively harder version than usual since all of the ceramics are fortified ceramics, the Plasma Accelerator is actually still able to take it out very easily. The group popping power of this tower is not to be underestimated. This thing is a beast at these pre-round 80 rounds. The only actually really hard round that I encountered was round 70, because on this round there's usually a lot of camo whites, but in Mastery mode the whites get upgraded to purple balloons, which are the Plasma Accelerator's weakness. So now we're dependent on the carpet bombs to deal with all the purples, but it isn't able to like take them all out, so we end up leaking lives. I try a bunch of different things, like a bunch of different targetings, and like I even ended up upgrading it to round 0 a few times, but even then it wouldn't get them all. One of the times I tried this, I think I just got lucky. Like, I don't know if it was like I started the round at the right time or I picked the exact right targeting or what, but I ended up taking out all of the purple balloons and I didn't even have to use my ground 0 ability. This is a little unfortunate that we had to spend a little bit of money to beat the round, since now we'll have to wait a little bit longer before getting Ray of Doom. Round 74 actually ended up being a really interesting round in this challenge. Since there's a lot of fortified ceramics that come out in the middle of this round, they all got converted into Moabs, so there was like a large Moab rush that you don't usually see on that round. It's really interesting how the Mastery mode changes like the feel of all these rounds. Like, rounds that you wouldn't usually consider a threat are all of a sudden becoming like super dangerous and you have to watch out for it. I actually end up dying to this round because I wasn't focusing enough on the Moabs, but one restart later I focused a lot more on those small Moab brushes and I was able to take it out pretty easily. I didn't want to use my ground 0 ability just in case I needed it for round 75. There are a lot of fortified BFBs on that round, so I was worried that maybe I'd get overwhelmed, but it didn't end up being a problem actually, so I could have just used it here, but I didn't. Going into round 79, we were only about 1k off from actually affording the Ray of Doom, so we actually do get a ton more money from Mastery mode. I'm not sure the exact amount, but you're usually not even kind of able to afford a ground 0 and a Ray of Doom before round 80. On a lot of maps, the Ray of Doom is actually able to solo the end rounds of chimps, so like getting it here, we should have no problems for a very long time. The only thing I was concerned about was the round 100 BAD, which will be upgraded to a fortified BAD, and since that's not usually in chimps games, I wasn't really sure what to think about it. So far, the Ray of Doom has been doing really well, and we've made it all the way to round 95 without having any problems. I wasn't really sure how well the Ray of Doom would actually do on this round, since usually you'd only have to fight around 9 fortified DDTs in a normal chimps game, but there would be a lot more since round 95's DDTs would all get upgraded. I wasn't sure if the Ray of Doom would get overwhelmed this round, but it turned out it would do just fine against it with a little bit of targeting. Round 97 is the first round to actually have bads. Since there's usually 2 fortified ZOMGs, the next thing in the order is a fortified bad. Or not a fortified bad, but a normal bad, but since there's 2 of them, there's 2 bads to face. And I didn't think this would be a problem for the Ray of Doom, since it usually takes out the round 100 bad in normal chimps games pretty easily. But something to keep in mind going forward is that the Ray of Doom actually has bonus damage to the first target it hits, so if there's going to be a lot of high density, high HP targets, like what we might see a little bit later, the Ray of Doom might struggle a little bit more than it did. Anyway, round 98 doesn't have anything higher than a fortified ZOMG, so it goes down pretty easily. 99, however, is a completely different story. Since the next step of a fortified DDT is actually a bad, you end up with 9 bads this round. That's 9 times the amount of bads you'd have in a normal chimps game, and so there's a lot for the Ray of Doom to deal with. Obviously the Ray of Doom has the Pierce to deal with all these targets, but we'll have to see if it's able to pop down these bads before they're too close to the exit. It was actually really close, way closer than I was expecting, but in the end we do end up taking out round 99, just barely at the end. Round 99 actually ended up being a lot harder than round 100. The fortified BAD popped like halfway through the track, which was way closer than I was expecting it to, and it let me really easily clean up the insides. The fortified DDTs I was able to take out with the Ground Zero ability, and the fortified ZOMGs were no problem for the Ray of Doom. So it's official, 2 tower chimps is possible in sort of mastery mode. I kinda had a feeling it would be, since the increased cash you earn in the earlier rounds would allow me to afford a very powerful tower earlier than usual. Something interesting I noticed watching this back is that if you add together the pop counts of the towers, they just barely are above 5 million pops, so maybe that's a little bit of foreshadowing for my next video? Who knows? Anyway, thanks to everyone who's made it this far in the video. Remember to like, subscribe, and tell me exactly why you hate my voice down in the comments. Just kidding. Don't do that. Please don't do that.